Well, we made it. We're here, buddy.
We
made it. We made it to through the weekend.
You did. You did a great job. You got your team up in Gainesville.
Great team,
and Shane did too on those broadcasts.
He did a great job. I got my Buddy Martin Show T-shirt on tonight. You remember?
Good. All right.
Nostalgia, where they screwed up the color blue, wrong color blue.
Oh, well.
There you go. Yeah, that's okay. Tell us who's on the show tonight, buddy. Come on.
Well, first of all,
bring the energy. Bring it. Come on.
Okay. All right. Shane Mathews. Shane Mathews is on the program tonight.
Shane Mathews on the program right after this.
Like Regis filming. And then we have a special guest, John Adams, who I've known forever. He is about the most knowledgeable guy on the Tennessee Vols. He knows Florida very well. He'll join Shane and I at quarter after. And among the things we'll talk about is that game in 2001 that Florida lost to Tennessee. By the way, there's a little stat for you. Florida's only been lost to Tennessee, I had that right in front of me, twice in the last 51 years home. Wow.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I was trying to find that stat.
Yeah, I've got it right here somewhere. I'll find it for you. Anyway, so Shane will come in. In fact, let's bring him in right now and say hello, or do you want to do this open first?
Well, we'll do the open first.
Well, you're driving as your host.
Because that's what we told him tonight. Okay. I'd like to stick to the plan. It's kind of person that I am.
You can carry it.
All right. Well, I just didn't know. So, and then we're going to talk to Franz Beard, the Iron Duke.
Cut from Billy.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We hear his question about Billy Napier. It's gonna be one of those power pack shows. We're gonna talk about Tennessee. We're gonna talk about all these things that didn't happen, and we're gonna talk about it right after. Oh yeah, by the way, smash the subscribe button. It's down here, over here on the right. Smash it, click it, whatever you're gonna do. Smash it, subscribe. It's all that good stuff. If you are a Gator Bait Media member, you can also go to the new show tab page. It's right there. It says The Buddy Martin Show. You can watch it live while you're
Meldon Law Monday.
There's also Meldon Law Monday, which is also extremely important because I talked to Carrie Meldon over the weekend about when I take over the show.
You're getting kind of be like a celebrity up there now.
But I was thinking that, Carrie and I could do our own, version of what, you and Jeffrey do.
Be careful. I might give you the whole thing. Okay? Just be careful.
And look, you got to do what the fans want to do. We'll be back.
You're getting good, but you're not as good as Shane Mathews yet.
Okay, enough. We will be talking to Shane Mathews right.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Welcome to the big show. We are live on the Buddy Martin Show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Buddy is on the phone, of course. He's got all these important things. But while he's doing that, yeah, you know how it is, Shane. He's just a big time guy.
He's got breaking news.
Oh, it's always breaking news. That voice you're hearing is the one and the only Mr. Shane Mathews. Hey, great job on the show this weekend, or on your broadcast, I should say. I like to listen to it while I'm down in the field working. You guys do a nice job. How do you like doing that gig, by the way?
I enjoy it. It's fun. You get a good bird's eye view of what's going on, and just try to paint a picture for the folks that aren't at the game or not watching on TV, kind of give them an idea of what's going on.
Yeah. I got to give Shane a little props right now. It kills me to have to do this, but I got to give it to him. He said the whole time, leave it alone. Graham Mertz will be fine. He is a good passer of the football, and you'll see it develop. So everybody stop panicking, and this guy is a good quarterback. And he's right. He looked really good. And by the way, I haven't thought about that. I saw some things in that game. I don't care who they're playing, Shane. You have routes on air. You see certain things, the crispness of it, the way people cut and execute, the way the ball's thrown, the way routes are run. I was impressed with that. It looked like a different team, Shane, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we probably didn't get to throw it as much as we wanted because of the way that McNeese played us. They weren't going to give up any big plays. I was surprised we got the deep post to Ricky, but yeah, buddy. I mean, I wasn't here for the spring, so I know he didn't play well. He'd only been here a month or so, but what I saw this summer in preseason camp, it's the best passing team I'd seen since Kyle Trask was here. What I did like the most about the game the other night is they played the three main receivers for majority of the game, 1, 3, and 4. And then made some changes once the game got out of hand and put Andy Jean and Aiden Mizell in there, let them get some action. Because they got some dudes that can go on the outside. And, you know, I got complete trust, and I think Billy Napier does. I hope he comes out firing against Tennessee. I think we can move the ball on them, and I think we can throw it all over them.
It's a really important time. This is a huge game, I have to tell you. But, boy, the mastery over Tennessee has been unbelievable. The stats I saw today, I think it was Tennessee's beaten Florida at the Swamp twice in 51 years. Twice in 51 years. Yeah,
it's nuts. It's true. And it's just hard to believe. I mean, they've had some really, really good football teams over the years. We've kind of dominated them the last 11, 12, 13 years. And what have they won? Have they won 2 in a row or 1 in a row? No, they've only won 1 in a row.
One.
Right? Yeah.
Well, not only 1 here. So.
Well, they beat us last year, but we beat them the previous year. So, look, Tennessee is not the team they were last year. People need to get that out of their minds.
They're really not.
Hooker was a phenomenal player. They lost some really good wideouts to the NFL. Josh Heupel's a good coach, but I'm telling you, the key to this game, people think Heupel wants to throw the ball a lot, and he does, but that whole offense is based off running the football, spreading you out from sideline to sideline and running the football. And if we, you know, again, front 7 is going to be critical, or maybe just the front 6 if they spread us out.
Yeah.
Got to stop the run, make Joe Milton beat us throwing the football.
You know what? I was impressed with him, but I don't know how precise he is on his throws.
Well, buddy, let me give you a stat.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of obvious, but who do you think has more yards per attempt? Joe Milton or Graham Mertz?
Well, you would think it would be Joe Milton, but it's obviously not.
It's not. He's dinking and dunking. He could throw it 85 yards if that makes you happy, but he's dinking and dunking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's going to be really interesting. I came away. I'm sorry, Benny. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying I saw a stat today that last year the receivers were averaging 17 yards per catch, I think, after the catch, and this year they're at 10 yards. So I think that sort of speaks to what you're saying. So, and this was up until this game. So I think that sort of speaks to what you're saying in their scheme a little bit. I did watch the game last week. They seem to be a little bit more of a running package than they have as much as a throwing package this year.
Yeah, they want to run the football.
Well, we did see some good running and good blocking. Timing was everything. I saw some crisp tackling. I saw dudes lined up in the right place. I saw a quarterback who was confident. I saw receivers who can get open. I saw offensive linemen who didn't have to jump, who could actually hold their stance. I saw a defense I was really impressed with. A couple of guys had big days. I like the fact they learned to close on the blitz, Shane. They got to bring that force and get those sacks. And so I saw, again, I know it's McNeese State. It wasn't Tennessee. I'm not getting carried away, folks. I get it. But you got to be able to go out and execute on if you're just running with nobody up there against you. So I was impressed. I'm about to say this team's got a chance to beat Tennessee.
Oh, I think they definitely do. Like I said, I don't think Tennessee's anywhere near what they were last year. They've had trouble defensively in the last couple of years. I just hope we come out and we're aggressive, buddy, because a lot of people, I mentioned this on my show, and I about fell out of my chair when Sean mentioned it Saturday night on the broadcast. When we took the lead 7-0 on that first drive, that's the first time we had a lead since the South Carolina game of last year.
Me? Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So I'll be damned. Let's come out and strike early and
Fling it, man.
Let's
go.
play with the lead and see what happens.
Yeah. I like that aggressive Steve Spurrier style of football. I love it. That's how you guys run up these huge leads in the first half. You never took your foot off the pedal. And the next thing you know, it's like getting in a fight in the ring, and you hit the guy first, and you got him on the ropes. So I think it's got possibilities. I'm not ready to predict a victory yet, but I see improvement. I see market improvement, and I think they got a different team they had out there before. And we still haven't seen the best that Ricky Pearsall's got, but we will. And you'll see. I mean, I love the fact he was a trailer, he was a decoy and whatever, and block for other people. And pretty soon, these other guys start catching balls. He'll be more open. And the way the guys ran the football, good blocking, had good angles, they were sharp to the hole. I just was really impressed. So yeah, I like them. And like we said, give them a mulligan. Let's see what they can do. Now let's see what's ahead now. So it could be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's SEC football time. It's time for the checkerboard overalls and Rocky Top. And if that doesn't get your juices flowing, something's wrong. Really.
Yes, it's great stuff. Shane, you mentioned South Carolina. Whoops. South Carolina had a little oopsie. How they played. There were a couple of oopsies. Nick had an oopsie. Some things happened that weren't. Is that you, Brenden, or is that Sammy?
It's the dog. He's very feisty tonight.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, of all the things you saw, I mean, Miami took it to Texas A&M. I mean, they took it to them. Miami ought to be ashamed of that. I mean, the Texas A&M ought to be ashamed of that. So what were the surprises for you, the ones you thought were the most important?
I mean, I was very surprised Miami beat A&M. I was big on A&M. I'm off. I'm done with them. I'm absolutely done with A&M. Not so much offensively, but defensively, they were so bad. I mean, just busted coverages, guys running wide open, whatever. Alabama, I wasn't surprised. I picked Texas on my show to win that game just because of Sarkisian and the quarterback. I knew Texas had dudes. Jalen Milroe, God bless him. Saban's very loyal to his players. Probably made a mistake playing him at quarterback. Now, he made some really good throws. He's one of those guys that puts some splash plays out there, but I don't think he can play quarterback. I didn't think he could play quarterback last year, but Nick Saban knows a hell of a lot more than I do. I was not surprised from that game. Trying to think what else. Obviously, Colorado's still a great story. I don't think they've beaten anybody worth the darn, but give them credit. The reason they're good, buddy, is their quarterback. Deion's kid is a legitimate first-round quarterback. He has got such great pocket awareness and throws a catchable and accurate football. He'll be a first-round pick.
Well, yeah. And anything else surprise you, by the way?
Well, unfortunately, Tulane didn't get to play with their quarterback against Ole Miss. Michael Pratt was hurt. I'm trying to think of who else played. By doing the radio, I don't get to watch a whole lot of games anymore.
Right. Don't you tape them?
No, I don't even tape them because I don't have time to watch them, buddy.
By the way,
I was watching the Alabama game while I was broadcasting the other game a little bit. We had a TV up in the corner of our booth.
Right.
It's usually got our game on there so we can really see what's going on. But we put it on the Alabama game.
Yeah. Incidentally, breaking news: Aaron Rodgers left the game tonight hurt.
Yeah, the third play of the game.
Yeah,
third play. Well, there goes the Jets.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's 10-3 right now, and Jets defense is outstanding. Zach Wilson looks pretty decent, but Aaron, the first three passes, I think they ran a run play, and then the next two were pass plays. There were 3-step drops, but he held the ball too damn long because his lineman cut, expecting the ball to be gone, and Aaron held on to it too long, and now he's hurt.
That's too bad.
Shane, I wanted to go back to the game. I wanted to ask you, a lot. I think people that sort of know and don't know, but how important is a center to a quarterback in a scheme? You were talking about Slater had played the first two games. He got the game ball this week, and now we're talking about how important do you think that sort of played in the Utah game? having such a young guy in there, as far as jumping off sides and that kind of stuff. It was a big conversation I had with somebody today, and they said, well, the center's not that important. I said, I think you undervalue that.
Oh, the center's extremely important. As I say, Zach Wilson's playing well. He throws an interception. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to get Kingsley back this week, which is going to be huge in a game like this. But it was good for Jake to get that game experience in case something, Kingsley goes down again. But, yeah, he was just a little outmanned early in his career against Utah, but it was good for him to get another opportunity against McNeese.
Yeah. I think it makes a difference, especially for the offensive line this week going into the big Tennessee game. Did you like the LED lights? Let's talk about that.
I'll be honest with you. That was a big conversation on my show this morning.
Yeah.
I tried. I didn't. Somebody's got to explain to me what I don't get it.
I've got your answer for you, because I actually went up and sat in the Champions Club there for a minute, and Buddy's playing video games, if you're wondering, by the way.
I'm trying to get a hold of John Adams.
Okay. Well, we can hear it. So when we're sitting on that side, because I was sitting, not far from where your booth is or your box is up there, and all I could see was those like rotating LED lights on the far end. But when our photographer shot a great 360 video of "Won't Back Down," above on the other side, on the higher end, I guess that's the west side of the stadium, there is, the LEDs above the skyboxes light up pretty significantly. And then on the field, they're like behind the sidelines, there's a big LED block light that comes out and that shines quite a bit too. I just felt it was somewhat distracting, especially after a touchdown, where if you're watching on TV, because I watched the game afterwards, and then that everything sort of went dark. So it's like in the celebration, you don't really, everything just kind of like gets this sort of dark vibe. So I was just like kind of confused because there was such fanfare made about the LED lights. I don't get it. And I've seen some the other stadiums put these in. I know they make for better pictures and turning them on and off. I think somebody joked and said, well, I think the LED lights are good, but all they did was turn them on and off. I guess I thought I would see more of an orange and blue hue or something. I don't know. I expected more. I guess I just didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know anything about it, but I was expecting to see orange and blue flashing everywhere.
Yeah,
and I never saw it. So maybe I'm just blocked out from my view in the booth. But it was all new to me, and I don't quite understand it.
Well, and I think maybe they're just testing. Maybe this week they're ready to unveil like their full lighting package. I don't know, but I guess kind of thought it was like these rotating lights or something like in the stadium or something. I don't know. Just there's lots of debate about it. I wasn't sure what you thought about it. I will say
that I heard one person say to me, they thought the environment was a little bit cheesy. Shane, did you think that?
You mean the LED lighting?
The whole thing.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm in a booth, so I mean, and our booth ain't real big. It's crowded. It's very, very small. The overhang kind of blocks your view at times. So
it's not a great seat in the press box either, just so you know. It's not a great seat.
I will say this. I've been down there where y'all sit. Y'all's view is better than our view.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
I've been in that booth a few times. I'm going to come down there to see you, see what you're looking at.
Well, I went out to, I guess it's called the Champions Club. What is it ever called? I watched the second half of the
Touchdown Terrace.
No, that's not it. It's
Champions Club is the chairback seating.
Yeah.
On the west side.
Yeah. So I sat in the Champions Club. I had never sat there for an actual game. So I sat there for the second half. And I hadn't sat in the stands in, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more. I don't remember. But I did get the sense of, I don't know, like the fan experience was different. Like the music seemed different. It's got a different vibe. The Swamp's got a different vibe now to it, to me, than it sort of did back in the day. Maybe it's the lack of the Gator bait chant. Maybe it's just seeming like, I noticed the Gator head looks a little different these days in the middle. It looks a little bit more extended snout with like sort of cartoonish or whatever. And the color seemed a little off. But I don't know. the feeling in the stands felt very different than sort of what I grew up on. And I didn't know if you ever noticed that kind of thing, but you probably don't because you're too busy working on the broadcast. But it did feel a little bit different. The LED lights, you said from home was a little bit hard to watch the celebration and all that stuff.
It kind of blots out the TV sometimes. You miss part of the play.
I feel it's like when the NBA did that with like the Lakers and they started like blacking out the lights in the seat, and then where then it was just focused on the court. I kind of feel like that's the direction everyone's moving. But hey, maybe I'm just a little bit of the purist, in me. Shane, what do these guys, in your opinion, the Gators, in your opinion, really need to focus on to come out with a W this week? And I'm speaking offensively. I know we touched on it a little bit, but what do you think they need to really sort of focus on to beat this team? Because I think they have a pretty good defensive line. But I watched on Saturday, they seem big and fast. And that seems the big knock is the offensive line for the Gators seems to not pass protect very well and keep Graham Mertz out of trouble. Are we going to see a lot more double tight set? What do you think? What do you think we should expect?
I hope we're aggressive. I really want us to come out throwing the football. I think this team could be, as I've said, I think we can throw the football really, really well. And I want to play ahead. You get ahead of somebody, the crowd feeds off of it. Your defense feeds off of it. Let's get ahead. I just think we need to come out and be aggressive and mix in your runs. Just take what the defense gives you. I mean, hell, if they want to play a soft box, let's run it down their throat. But if not, let's come out firing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So what did you see in the tight ends? Talk about the routes that were run. Talk about the leadership, the direction that Mertz had on the field, how that felt and looked to you, and what players did you see and do you want to see more of?
Well, Graham is clearly the leader of this football team. I think the team believes in him. He's got great leadership qualities. And, tight end wise, we made some plays. Xander's dropped a touchdown in the south end zone. One thing I would like Billy to do, and I don't think we've ever done it since he's been here as the head coach, is to go 4 wides, 10 personnel, they call it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're sending the tight end out in some pass route. So I'd rather have a faster guy. But no, I was pleased with McNeese. I thought we played well. I thought it was a clean game. That's whole coach speak, but corrected all the silly mistakes we made in week 1. I think Billy was extremely embarrassed how that went.
Yeah, really.
We got it corrected. I love how we just played the main wideouts.
Yeah.
I get so tired of the shuffling people in and out every other play.
They overthink it sometimes, Shane.
Keeping people happy and all that bull crap, to hell with it. If they don't want to be here because they got beat out, let them transfer. We need to play the best players until they are tired and need to come out of the game for a break and then get them right back in there.
Shane Mathews talking a little smack right now about
no,
that.
It's just a fact, buddy. I mean,
yeah, I know. I get it.
Your job is to win the game, so let's play our best players and try to win the game. Not try to keep people fresh and keep.
What it's
happy.
like? It's like, well, we got John Adams. It's like baseball managers who take a 220 player hitting 220 and put him because he's left-handed and put him in the bat for a guy who's hitting 300 because it's lefty right. Let's go talk to John. See our friend John Adams here for the Knoxville. We finally got you, John. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you guys?
Good. Say hello to Shane.
Hey, Shane.
Hey, John.
And to Brenden on the top left. And so I'm anxious to talk to you about something called Florida Tennessee that used to be quite a game. John, we've been covering this game forever, you and I have. And I want you to talk about, if you don't mind, the 2001 game, this being 9/11, what that game was like. And I keep telling people, you can say what you want to, in my opinion, but it cost Spurrier a national championship. Do you think so?
Yeah, I don't know how that championship game might have played out, but it certainly cost him, I believe, a berth in the playoff. I don't think that's far-fetched at all. I think if that game had been played as scheduled early in the season, as it usually was, Florida would have won the game. I remember I flew down to Gainesville got the last flight into Gainesville that Sunday night. And then the next morning I was going to the over to Florida for the press conference, and I was in the hotel and I saw what had happened on TV, and the tragedy that our country will never forget. But then playing that game in December, Tennessee had time. Sometimes teams don't get their run game going that early. And Tennessee, for the most part, didn't run the ball well against Florida, if you look back over the years. But when it came out in 2001 and played in December, it was one of the best games Tennessee ever played. I mean, Florida was a huge double. I want to say it was like a 18-point
One of Spurrier's best teams, one of his best teams.
It was loaded, and it just Tennessee's blocking from its offensive line. It played its best game of the year. Easily forgotten. Rex Grossman played a heck of a game. He almost pulled that thing out. Even though Tennessee, the score was misleading because Tennessee had really won the game. I mean, the way it was played, they were pretty dominant at times, and that was a really talented Florida team. It was one of those games that was hard to understand. Why did it make that much difference playing in September as opposed to December? Right. But Florida was coming off a game against Florida State, right? The week before, isn't that?
Yes, wasn't that correct? That's correct.
Yeah, that's pretty tough playing two top 10 teams back to back.
Yeah. Well, it was an epic game. What's his name? Travis? Went for 200 yards. The running back.
Right? Travis Stevens. I want to say it was 214 yards.
Right.
That kind of sticks in my head.
He's from Florida. He's from the state of Florida.
I know he was, and he was. Going back, he was like the fourth string running back on the 98 team. They had Travis Henry and Jamal Lewis, and but he was a guy that a lot of people thought he was kind of an ordinary running back, but he had one of the best rushing seasons in Tennessee history. He was one of those guys that could hit. He read the blocking well, hit the hole, and his first few steps were really fast. And so when he got good blocking, as he did in that game, he could really capitalize on it. It's one of the best running performances in Tennessee history. But still, that made no sense that Florida defense with the talent on that team got just, beaten up at the line of scrimmage.
Right. And now, of course, Shane was on Pro Bowl making $50 million a year at that time. He didn't really care about it up there. Where were you that year? What team were you playing for? The six?
I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Getting booed by people at Soldier Field.
You're not the only one that's been booed there. It's a long line of
players. Long list.
So tell us what you think of this Tennessee team. Shane, what you've seen. Let's get a little banner going here with John, his assessment of Florida. You like Tennessee, but do you think Florida's got a shot here, don't you, Shane?
Oh, absolutely they do. Hell, they ain't won here but twice in 50-something years or something. What you told us there, buddy. Yeah, no, I haven't watched a whole lot of Tennessee. I mean, last year I thought Hendon Hooker was outstanding. I thought he made their team. Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver. John knows this team better than I do, but I think they've gone backwards personally. I'm not a big Joe Milton fan. Nothing against him. I know he can throw it a long ways. He can throw it hard, but I don't think he's accurate. I think he's going to make some splash plays here and there. But I think if Florida can stuff the run, because I really believe Josh Heupel wants to run the football and force Milton to throw it, I think we got a very good chance to win.
John, your thoughts about that and about what you think of this Florida team?
Well, that's a fair assessment. I've gone back and forth on Tennessee. I thought this would be a really good team. A couple of years ago when Joe Milton played and didn't succeed, lost his job to Hendon Hooker after starting the first two games.
It was he ran
out of bounds against Ole Miss in the middle of the season on the last play. And I thought, that's it for him. If I'm the coach, he's never playing another down. I mean, it was just a real horrible mental error. You got to just chunk it in the end zone, or he was about on the 25 or 30, or just try and run for it, but you can't run out of bounds as the clock is expiring. So I kind of gave up on him. And then I watched him last year, and he got better. To Shane's point, he became more accurate and threw with more touch. Then he started against Vanderbilt. That was in the rain. It couldn't really validate that performance, but he played really well against Clemson. He was accurate in the Orange Bowl game. Tennessee won by 17. Didn't make any mistakes. Threw 3 TD passes. Then in the opener against Virginia, he played the same kind of game he did against Clemson. No mistakes. Hit a couple of touchdown passes. Had what should have been a touchdown dropped. But in the first part of that game against Austin Peay, an FCS team of all teams, he was one of his first 8. And most of those passes were over the middle, and the receivers were open. Now, about 5 of them were clearly missed throws, usually high and hard. But there were 3 others, though, that hit the receiver in the back shoulder pad. Now, the NFL's top receiver is going to make that play. But it was one of those kind of gray areas. Well, who's at fault? I mean, point is he wasn't right on the money with it, and these were open receivers. And he threw the ball very hard. I wonder, when you're throwing over the middle, a lot of things can go wrong. And you have to be more aware of what the coverage is like, what you're seeing. There's just a lot of stuff out there you've got to be able to read. Whereas those quick passes to the sidelines that he's very accurate on, there's not much there. I mean, you can, there are not a lot of options, not a lot of quick thinking's required. And by the way, I noticed the same thing with Jaden Daniels of LSU against Florida State.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to want to throw over the middle. And so, man, that really raised some questions with me about Joe Milton.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a throwback game to when he wasn't playing well.
Yeah. Well, let me get Shane to comment on that.
Sure.
And let Shane go get his milk and cookies because he got to get up early and do a show with a star. Oh, that's me. A show tomorrow morning. So, all right, your thoughts, Shane, on what he said about Milton? And
well, he's right. I think a lot of big, strong-arm quarterbacks prefer to throw the ball outside where the numbers are because it's usually one-on-one, and it's either my guy catches it or I can fire it out of bounds or what have you. There's a lot of stuff between the hashes that can cause a lot of problems if you're not if you don't really understand the passing game. I think another reason, like I said, I think he has a lot of drops, John, is because he throws a heavy hard ball to catch. Some of those strong arm guys throw those what they call a heavy ball.
Yes.
So they're, you'll ask receivers, they don't want that damn ball coming 100 miles an hour. They want a catchable ball. Like Deion's kid throws a very catchable ball. So, we'll see. But Joe he's very talented. But I think he's one of those going to make splash plays, then going to fire an easy flat route over a guy's head. You just never know. So we're hoping we get bad Joe Saturday night.
Well, that's a really good point. I think, particularly in the NFL, when you say if the ball hits a receiver in his hands, you're supposed to catch it. And I remember when John Elway was in his prime and he had what he called the Elway cross.
Oh, yeah.
Where he put that point of that football right in the receivers. He had some real – Ricky Nattil of Florida was one of his receivers for a while. He just had a bunch of small – Three Amigos, small guys. And, man, he looked like sometimes I thought he would just knock those guys over like bowling pins. Yeah. But his ball was more catchable. Peyton Manning he had a good arm, not a great arm, had a good arm, but his ball was so catchable. That's a good point you make because, like I said, when he's hitting them in the back shoulder, I mean, at that short a range, it's coming so hard. Mm-hmm. It is a tough play. And I kind of wonder about Tennessee's receiving corps. I thought it could be as good or even better than last season, but that hasn't been evident the first 2 games. So that's a problem.
Great stuff. Shane's got to go. It's past his bedtime. You stay where you are, John.
Okay.
We're going to bring on an old friend of yours. It's Franz Beard after this timeout. Brenden, shall we roll Belden Law?
Well, hold on. I only got 2 fingers there. Thanks, Shane. Shane Mathews, always a pleasure. And we will be back right after this break from Meldon Law.
Getting back to Swamp Kings, I think I was impressed. I really didn't understand how hard he worked, how hard Urban Meyer worked at getting that team ready to compete in the SEC and on a national stage.
You think maybe Gator fans will value their championship legacy just a little bit more now?
I hope so. I never got it. I didn't understand why people didn't say take Urban at his word when he said he was really sick. I understand that he went back, to Ohio State, but he did take a year off and do his ESPN thing. And it's in your blood when you're a college coach. It's almost like you're willing to sacrifice your life in order to have the ability to lead a team to a national championship.
No doubt. I'm going to issue an invitation to you right now. Urban's coming to Gainesville the week of Vanderbilt. And I'm going to take him out to Spurrier's for bite to eat, and you're invited. How's that sound?
I would love to do that. I actually, his daughters both won the Meldon Law TV 20 Scholar Athlete.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And so we got to know the family a little then. And, I'll tell you, Urban really should be admired by Gator fans, and they should understand that he was here for 6 years? 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
6 years. Nowadays, that's a long time in a coach's career, right?
Exactly,
and they're like, oh, he jilted us. It was like, my girlfriend dumped me,
Oh, Jeffrey Meldon, we talk over those 5 minutes. You never mentioned law one time.
Yeah. So anyhow, we are really excited at Meldon Law. We've been getting a lot of calls from people who already have cases that are asking us for second opinions.
Yeah.
And I think
want to talk to you about that next time we're on the air.
To keep your offense on the field, though, against a team like Tennessee that likes to run 75, 80 plays a game.
Yeah, the play count number can roll up. I think it's right in the high 70s. I think relative to both sides of the ball on average. They're going to play in the high 70s. We're going to play in the high 70s. So the play count's going to improve. And depth can be a key component, especially late. But
all right, sorry, we got an echo everywhere. Hold on.
We're trying to get Franz Beard's
question.
All right. All right, we good to go?
I think you guys hear me all right now. I think Franz has got a double audio on there somewhere.
Yeah. Go ahead, Franz, come back. John.
Come back with us, Franz.
We're going to play this bite for you. Billy, I guess, or can we? We can't. We can.
No, it was fine. Franz
play it now.
Yeah, it was Franz must have been playing it back through something else. We'll play Billy right now.
Right.
Hold on.
Ultimately, we probably need to create a few more explosives, truth be known. And, there's so many things that contribute to those stats early in the year. I think it can be a little bit of a misnomer, but, there's no doubt I'm confident that we're much improved on defense. We talked about it in the preseason. And ultimately, I think we're going to continue to get better, too, because there's a lot of young players out there playing.
How important is it to keep your offense on the field, though, against a team like Tennessee that likes to run 75, 80 plays a game?
Yeah, the play count number can roll up. I think it's right in the high 70s, I think, relative to both sides of the ball on average. They're going to play in the high 70s. We're going to play in the high 70s. So the play count's going to improve. And depth can be a key component, especially late. But I think the game's about first down. And then you got to get off the field on third down. So ball gets into the red area. you got to force them to kick field goals. Last year's game was indicative of that if you dig into it.
All right. Well, that was Franz's question. We're going to try Franz Beard again. Franz, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. All is well now. Welcome to the show, Franz Beard. Franz, that was your question today at Billy Napier's press conference. You also wrote about it tonight on GatorBaitMedia.com. What's
say hello to your friend John Adams over there.
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going well. Good to see you, Franz.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
Billy Napier basically danced around the question. Tennessee runs an offense that's called the blur for a reason, and that's because they just want to get out there and run a play every 20 seconds on the average. And right now I did the math, and they're doing it like about every 19 seconds is what it is, which it doesn't give you time to substitute, run, if you got really big defensive linemen, which is what it takes to stop their running game, they're going to wear out against that. So it's a real dilemma getting them stopped. And he's right. You got to get them on second and long. They can't be going 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. They got to be 7, 8 yards away, or else they're just going to run you silly and run you ragged. I think John hit on it earlier about the fact that the numbers are just way down on the receivers. The receivers at Tennessee are only averaging 10 yards a catch, which is down 4.5 yards from last year. And I think that's got to be a concern for them. Don't know if it's going to be a concern against Florida, because Florida's going to have to get pressure on Joe Milton somehow, some way. And they've got 2 sacks, and that's both of them are against McNeese State. And that doesn't bode well.
John, your thoughts?
Well, it's with Tennessee's offense, Franz is right. It's predicated on hitting big plays and stretching the field. Austin Peay was dropping everybody back in pass coverage, which contributed to Tennessee's rushing average per play. But it had open receivers. It finally decided. Normally, when Heupel goes into a game, he knows what he wants to do, and he's usually able to do it. It doesn't mean Tennessee's going to win the game because their defense hasn't been great under him, but he usually does what he wants to do offensively. He didn't do that against Austin Peay. They dropped everybody back. Tennessee didn't try to throw deep. And that's an important part of his offense, to stretch the defense and open things up for those quick tunnel screens and slant ends. And it didn't do that against Austin Peay. Did it somewhat against Virginia. But this offense is predicated on making big plays and scoring fast. And if it doesn't do that, you can keep an opponent in a game. I mean, Austin Peay was down after 3 quarters against Southern Illinois, 41-3. Think about that for a minute. Southern Illinois down 41-3. Austin Peay was after 3 quarters.
John, let me ask you a question, John. Was the case Heupel not want to show much of Florida?
I don't think that at all. I think what Tennessee's offense isn't complicated. You know what it's going to do. So to think, okay, he's not throwing the ball downfield, so we don't have to worry about that. No, it just couldn't do what it wanted to do. I don't think it had, these people know now what Josh Heupel does offensively, and they can't always stop it, but they know what's coming. And as Franz mentioned, this tempo throws teams off. It's because Tennessee is dedicated to a fast tempo, and you getting lined up out back there, and particularly in the secondary, you're trying to find your keys and make the right reads, and you're just trying to get in position. And teams get off guard. You can look at the greatest example of this is Alabama last year. Alabama couldn't even get lined up right defensively against Tennessee, and Jalen Hyatt was running in the end zone every 5 minutes. So the speed is such an important factor, spreading the field, increasing the tempo. But if the quarterback can't make accurate throws and the receivers can't make catches on balls they should catch, then this offense really could, bog down. 30 points against Austin Peay. In the previous 27 games under Josh Heupel, Tennessee had averaged more than 40 points a game.
Yeah, it should be a quarter score.
Yeah.
Well, it is Florida-Tennessee week, guys. And if you got an ounce of blood in you as a football fan, you got to get a little fired up. This gets people stepped up now. There's a lot of things going on. So I know I've been waiting for this for a long time. A lot of people thought Florida was dead in the water after the first game. I think Franz nailed it when he said, be patient. They're going to bring it around. I saw a much better football team, and I don't care who they're playing against. So I was saying to Shane, you can run routes on air and look bad. So I think they are come quite a bit, friends, a long way here. I don't know if they can beat Tennessee, but I'm going to tell you what, they might give them all they want. What do you think, friends?
This is a better team than last year. And last year, without a team that really wasn't that good, they gave the game to Tennessee. Now, can they do that this year with a better defense and going against Joe Milton? Because Joe Milton is not Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, one of the things I really loved about Hendon Hooker was the guy made quick decisions and right decisions. You look at the 2 years he was at UT and you wonder how they couldn't get that out of him at Virginia Tech. But boy, when he was at Tennessee, I thought, quite frankly, he was the best until he got hurt. Thought he was the best quarterback in the SEC last year. Bryce Young won the Heisman legitimately the year before, but last year I thought the best quarterback in the SEC was Hendon Hooker, and then he got hurt. I don't know that Joe Milton processes the information as quickly. Michigan fans say that he was dumber than any 2 boxes of rocks you've ever met, and he was there. But that's Michigan fans, and they're pretty critical of their quarterback play. But Joe started there, didn't work out. He started Tennessee, got pushed out by Hendon Hooker, and he's starting this year, and he hasn't played badly, but I'll ask John this. Has he played like an SEC winning quarterback? The 2 games I've seen, and I've watched the replays of both games, it doesn't look it to me. But tell me what you think. Maybe I'm the dumb one, not Joe Milton.
Oh, Franz, you aren't dumb. Nobody thinks you're dumb.
Come on, Franz.
I thought Joe Milton's play in the Virginia game was a follow-up to how he played against Clemson. As I said earlier, he just didn't make mistakes. He had a touchdown pass dropped, and he threw a couple of touchdown passes. He doesn't throw interceptions. He's improved in his ability of decision making. But he can be awkward running the ball, and that was a facet of the game Tennessee had. It doesn't have now. It had that with Hendon Hooker, very smart runner, one of those guys that just knew where to run, where to cut. This guy's not that way. I just think it's really important for Tennessee, for Joe Milton to be accurate early against Florida. If he's not, that could mean trouble for Tennessee. One thing I want to mention, though, is Tennessee's defense. It's better than it was last year. You don't even need to look at the stats. The stats are good, but with tackles for loss and sacks, much better, albeit against weak teams. But Tennessee is faster and stronger on defense. And I think they're going to cause all kind of problems for Florida's offense.
Could be. All right, John, final thoughts before you go. Can you give us a pick or two? The SEC hasn't gone that well for the last week. I mean, so the big shots got beat. Texas A&M, obviously, Miami did them, Alabama. Your thoughts about the landscape and now where this goes, and what games are you looking to besides Florida, Tennessee this week?
Well, in the SEC, there's not much. I mean, the schedule has been so lame for most of the first 3 weeks. I mean, we're looking at Kansas State, Missouri becomes a key game, a chance for an SEC team to win against another Power 5 opponent outside the conference. It's been a dreadful start for tennis for the SEC, and for Alabama and LSU both to lose those non-conference games. It doesn't just affect those teams; it affects the rest of the SEC. The drop-off in quarterback play this season from last is very significant, and you know how much that means in today's games.
Yeah.
You know, the A&M loss, that was big too. I thought it would beat Miami. I got to kind of rethink the whole SEC, but it's not getting 2 teams in the playoffs, and you still have you still have you still have teams that aren't sure about their quarterbacks. And when we talked about Joe Milton, but you look at Alabama with Jalen Milroe, which doesn't really have any options, I don't think, other than Milroe. I know it's got a couple of guys back there, but I don't think they're the answer. Georgia is not what it is without Stetson Bennett. Carson Beck throws a nice ball, but he's not the running threat and doesn't seem to have that big play knack that Bennett had. So granted, early, but I think the SEC right now is not the SEC we're accustomed to seeing. So it's kind of, where will we go from here? Well, you can look at it and say, well, look to 24 when Texas will be in the SEC, because it's looked as talented as anybody. It did against Alabama, at least.
All right, John, go ahead. I'm going to say goodbye to John. He's an old guy like us. He's got to go to bed.
I'm actually a night owl, buddy. I don't go.
See, I got that vibe from you, John. I said you got an excellent setup right away. You got a great microphone, the whole deal.
I didn't want to abuse you, so all right, Franz, go ahead.
I think John really hit the nail on the head when he started talking about the quarterback situation. You look at the Pac-12. The Pac-12, you got 12 teams in there, and you got 11 quality quarterbacks in 12 teams. And you can't say the same thing about the 14 SEC teams. You just cannot. I was talking about it with some people today at Napier's press conference. And, you know, right now, the best quarterback in the league is at Arkansas. That's KJ Jefferson. And the drop-off after that, Jaden Daniels could be, but as John pointed out, Jaden Daniels did not look good against FSU. He didn't look anything like he did last year. Now, maybe that was because of the FSU defense, but I don't know. Jackson Dart could be really good. Connor Wegman could be really good. But these are guys that could be, and we don't see anybody that is. Devin Leary, another one, could be if they could keep him off his back. And Spencer Rattler, we know what kind of talent he is, but hard to throw footballs when you're on your back. And both those teams have offensive lines. The quarterback play in this league is dreadful. But I will say this, it is still early in the season. And I think, I'm hearing a lot of people, I think Stuart Mandel today wrote an epitaph to the SEC. And yeah, I think the SEC is having a bad month. But do I think they're going to have a bad November and December? And I don't think so. I think the league is strong enough and has enough good teams and enough good coaches that a lot of things are going to change later. But right now, John's right. The quarterback play is dreadful.
Well, I'm afraid there's a leak in some of these ships around here. I see all these teams, they're very, very vulnerable now. Saban, obviously, certainly LSU, Texas A&M, South Carolina. I can name them off. They've had disappointing
Kentucky.
games. Yeah, well, they've had this. These guys lost, and they got a leak in it. And I don't know. Like John said, no more 2 teams in the playoffs. That's not happening. So the Nationals view is the big, bad, tough SEC ain't what it used to be. That's what it is.
Hey, buddy, speaking of quarterbacks, can you see that oil painting of Tim Tebow on my wall?
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. John's got a great story. I want you to tell that story. Go ahead.
My wife was a huge Tebow fan, and her brother is an artist. So he painted an oil painting of Tim Tebow, and it was in our den. And it's now in my office. He painted another painting that my wife likes. So Tebow was moved to my office, but it's actually a really good oil painting. She used to, she went to some Tennessee, Florida games, and she had her Tennessee when it was in Knoxville. She had a Tebow jersey on under her Tennessee shirt.
I remember that story.
Yeah, and
I got a girl right there.
Yeah, she loved Tebow. Still, she hates the entire NFL.
Yeah,
because Tebow's not playing, didn't play there.
Yeah, well, a lot of people feel like her, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, he could have played for somebody, but yeah. So she's yeah, and she got. I was covering that Florida-Oklahoma championship game, and Melinda got her a ticket, and so she was able to watch that game. And in the 2009 SEC championship game, she was seated there. She was right at the end of the Florida section, and then it went over across the aisle into the Alabama section, and that was that awful game for Florida. Urban Meyer looked physically ill on the sidelines, and then he went into the hospital. But Florida was beaten, and they flashed. The cameras picked up Tim Tebow, of course, and he was crying, and it was on the big screen, and the Alabama fans were laughing it up. And Melinda stormed out of that stadium. She already disliked Alabama fans, but that raised her hatred level for Alabama to new heights. She can't get over that. It's been, gosh, it's hard to believe it's been 14 years, but she still remembers that as though it happened last night.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just getting tired of this guy on our sites here. This guy begging Megan. He's pissing off everybody, including me now, with his comments. And you just got to stop it, okay? We're gonna ban your ass there pretty quick. All right, let's do this. Next, I gotta take a quick break. Could you guys stay for a minute?
Well, we've only got a few minutes left.
I know. We have paid commercials to get in, Brenden, to show us how you get paid.
I know, but we played one of them, Meyer. Which one do you want to play?
I'm going to do a live read on Titan MRI. I'm going to come back for John's and Franz's final thoughts.
All right, go for it.
Titan MRI. It's worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance, no problem. You can pay with cash or a card with same-day scheduling in advance. You start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Premier. Visiting our Gainesville location from everywhere, folks from Marion County, Ocala, Levy County are all going up to see the great deals they get at TitanMRI.com and from the villages and all points south and north. TitanMRI.com. All right, thanks very much. Back to our final thoughts, Brenden. You want to get our guests their final thoughts?
Yeah, I was just, you guys kind of answered it. My question was going to be, SEC is in an interesting spot this year, especially early on. And you all had answered, is the SEC the powerhouse that, we've come to know? But I think we've covered that pretty well. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask John, do you have a prediction? Are you giving a prediction? I know it's early in the week, but do you have a prediction of what the outcome of Saturday's game is going to be in the Swamp?
Well, I do my predictions column for our Tuesday web now because I want to get it out there early for all the bettors. There are more people betting now than ever before in this country. I even do a gambling column once a week. I like as bad as Tennessee looked against Austin Peay. I like Tennessee to win and cover because I just don't think this Florida team is very good. I watched it against Utah with half a dozen or so starters out, without its starting quarterback, its star quarterback, Cam Rising. This does not look like a typical Florida team to me at all. I didn't see it against McNeese, but I don't know if that would have affected my opinion at all. Of course, it went handily, but I just think Florida's really limited in what it can do, and I don't see any real great area of strength. I thought it might be the running game, but I didn't see that against Utah.
All right.
Well, that's a good pick, Franz. You have I know we won't talk to you again for the night, but what do you think?
I think it's going to be a very close football game, and I think what happens in the first quarter is going to go a long way toward determining what goes on. If Florida can establish control on the football and keep Tennessee off the field, the Gators have only been on the field for 93 snaps defensively in 2 ball games, which is the second lowest total in the country. And yeah, it's early, and yeah, you played a Utah team that is somewhat, was somewhat limited in what it could do. But just the same, that Florida team had look at what happened on the line. Florida had the gap integrity against Utah, and that was a veteran offensive line with 5 starters back that has been pounding people for 2 years. Florida had the gap integrity. They couldn't run the football on the Gators. And if Tennessee comes out and can run the football, they're going to win the ball game. If Florida can hold Tennessee and keep them from running the football, it's going to be white knuckles there at the end. I hate to make a prediction who's going to win it, if it is, but like I said, depending on what goes on in that first quarter, if Florida can stop the run and it can get its own running game established, the Gators are going to be in the ball game.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We are over our time. And John, thank you for coming in. I always enjoy having you on every year for the program. We'll have to follow up with you. And I'll have to check out your betting show. Do you do any more live shows, or is it?
No, this is actually, I do a column, and I have 2 guys making their bets. I give them play money, $10,000 a week.
Nice.
And they're absolutely killing it. If you made the bets that they made, you'd be way in the money right now.
Looks like we need to follow. Well, thank you, sir. Well, it was a pleasure having you on. And
great stuff, John. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Good to see you, John.
Good night.
You too.
All right, Francis, we'll say good night to you. If you have a couple of words real quick.
I liked your column. I read your column that's now on GatorbaitMedia.com, Franz. It's excellent.
Well, I think Florida's got a chance if they can run the ball. And, I know Jake Slaughter played well. I hope that's an omen of good things to come. I do believe, though, that the Gators will be better with Kingsley Eguakun if he can start, simply because he's one of the more cerebral centers in the SEC. A lot of people say the most cerebral. He is very, very good at picking up the line calls and stuff. And you got to remember something. Tennessee really runs its pass rush with a front 4. Then what they will do is they've got 3 sacks from other guys, but that's usually because you'll load up one side and these guys will come from the backside and get backside blitzes. They don't blitz a whole lot. They play it straight up. So it's going to be hat on hat. Can the Gators push these guys around? We'll see. I think that there's reason to believe that Florida is going to be an ever-improving team throughout the year. Now, I'm always disappointed if the Gators lose, but I'll be a lot happier if I see them come out there and go toe-to-toe with Tennessee. And let's say at the end of it, white knuckles, and we lose the ball game, I'll still be disappointed. But I'll know I've seen improvement, and that's what I'm looking for.
All right, good stuff, Francis.
Good stuff, Franz.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Franz Beard. Check him out on GatorbaitMedia.com. Buddy, I know we want to say a little something about one of our. I know. You're losing your voice there, buddy. You sound like Billy Napier out there today. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Let's talk about Renstar.
Well, of course, they're our good friends, supported our program for a long time in our community. They're a great stakeholder. They have a very high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility in Ocala. Renstar Medical Research brings cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us here in our county and our community. Since their inception in 1999, RedStar has participated in more than 700 clinical research trials, continue to partner with prominent pharmaceutical and biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. Go to redstar.net, check them out. You might be able to qualify for one of their clinical trials and be a part of that. RedStar Medical Research.
Seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today.
All right, Brenden, good job. I'm out. Love you.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Good night to Buddy Martin. And I want to say thanks for everybody for joining us tonight. It was a great show, lively chat. Hopefully we can be nice to each other a little bit more in the future. Check us out on GatorBaitMedia.com. Check out the show tomorrow night, same time, same channel. All that good stuff. It's Tennessee week. Expect you guys to be lively. Talk to you tomorrow.